Silence and the ability to listen are connected, and that silence comes about through self-knowledge, I feel. As I said before, the residue of knowing yourself is to go beyond yourself. And when you go beyond your pettiness, then the residue is silence. And that communicates. It's not yours, it's a communicative act. That's how I feel. What I feel is unique to Krishnamurti's approach to education. And from that silence you also learn to listen and to care. So you care for the other, you care for nature, you care for plants, animals, you take responsibility. He called it, I think, total responsibility. So that from that silence you are responsible for everything around you.
Krishnamurti naquit le 11 mai 1895 à Madanapalli, Andhra Pradesh. Sa mère, Sanjivama, a la prémonition du destin exceptionnel de cet enfant. Comme c'est le 8e enfant, on le prénomme Krishna. En 1909, Leadbeater, patriarche clairvoyant de la Société théosophique, découvre Ke jouant sur la plage derrière l'enceinte du siège de la Société. Le père de Krishnamurti, Narayana, est fonctionnaire du département des douanes du gouvernement anglais. Un astrologue renommé lui prédit que son fils deviendra un très grand homme. Ke étudie au collège de Milapore, Madras. Il est si lent que son instituteur le fait souvent sortir de la classe et le fouette. Ce n'est pas l'apparence de Krishnamurti qui avait frappé Leadbeater, car à part ses yeux magnifiques, il n'était pas du tout avenant, et le manque total d'expression de son visage lui donnait un aspect arriéré. Leadbeater informa Annie Besant, présidente de la Société théosophique, de sa découverte. Il disait de Krishnamurti « Ke a une aura merveilleuse sans aucun égoïsme ». Krishnamurti disait de son enfance en 1973 « Dès son plus jeune âge, aucune pensée ne pénétrait son esprit. Il observait et écoutait, rien d'autre. »
In this world, most of the religious traditions have become a system and they have become non-religion. And some very spiritual understanding or message received by some of the well-known people, and they thought there should be some new message or new philosophy by which the name of religions can be revitalized and all religions might come together and a new way of thinking can be curated. So with this objective, the Theosophical Society was formed by Madame Blavatsky and Colonel Arcot, later on joined by many spiritual leaders, including Bishop Leadbeater and Madame Annie Besant, and they are searching for a pure body and pure mind through which a new wisdom can be channelized. And they found Krishnamurti. And Krishnamurti was raised and educated for a new world teacher.
Ce garçon serait le véhicule de l'ordre Maitreya, disait Annie Besant en 1910. C'est alors qu'elle adopte légalement Ke et son frère Initia et prend en charge leur éducation. Les deux enfants la considèrent comme leur ama, leur mère. À cette époque-là, Ke passe sa première initiation au culte.
Madame Annie Besant have said over and over again that his new teaching might be entirely different and difficult to accept by the traditional people. In spite of that, they are trying to evolve Krishnamurti.
De 1911 à 1921, Kay et son frère Nitya sont à Londres pour leur éducation. Un visage de longs cheveux noirs jusqu'aux épaules et d'énormes yeux noirs inexpressifs, disait Emily Lutyens de Krishnamurti. En 1911, Leadbeater et Annie Besant créent l'Ordre de l'Étoile d'Orient afin de préparer le monde à la venue de l'instructeur du monde. 1912 voit la parution du Herald of the Star, dont Krishnamurti est le rédacteur.
Has some kind of hierarchy and organization and a lot of authorities and so on and so forth. Finally, Krishnamurti evolved himself and enlightened himself.
L'Ordre de l'Étoile se développe en importance et en richesse. Krishnamurti se voit déifié. En 1922, c'est le grand éveil. Tout au long de sa vie, Kay subit de mystérieux processus marqués par des douleurs atroces avec perte de conscience. Ce processus culmine cette année-là avec sa première expérience mystique. J'ai eu ma première expérience extraordinaire. Un homme réparait la route. Cet homme, c'était moi. La pierre qu'il cassait faisait partie de moi. Une voiture est passée. J'étais le conducteur, la machine et les pneus. J'étais dans toute chose, ou plutôt, tout était en moi, disait Krishnamurti au sujet de son expérience sous le poivrier en 1922. La même année, il ajoute « J'ai éprouvé la compassion qui guérit l'affliction et la souffrance. Ce n'est pas pour moi, mais pour le monde. L'amour, dans toute sa splendeur, a intoxiqué mon cœur. Mon cœur ne pourra jamais se fermer. J'ai bu à la fontaine de la joie et de l'éternelle beauté. Je suis un intoxiqué de Dieu. » Des expériences mystiques surprenantes et mystérieuses jalonneront la vie de Krishnamurti par la suite. D'abord à Ojai, en Californie, lors de sa retraite solitaire après la rupture avec la société théosophique, puis plus tard en Inde, à Ooty et au Cachemire.
In the process of education or in the process of preparation, it became again a mechanical, again a kind of system, and which was completely rejected by Jiddu Krishnamurti.
En 1925, la mort de Nitya agit comme un catalyseur. Lorsqu'au Star Congress à Adyar, Krishnamurti parle de l'avènement de l'instructeur du monde, il passe de « il vient » à « je viens ». Un vent de rébellion voit le jour durant les rencontres à Omen et ailleurs de 1927 à 1929. Krishnamurti commence à questionner la valeur des organisations, des hiérarchies, des gourous et des systèmes. « Vous devrez vous libérer non à cause de moi, mais en dépit de moi, dit-il. Mon but n'est pas de créer des discussions sur l'autorité, sur la manifestation de la personnalité de Kay, mais de donner la source qui lavera vos peines. »
He thought all this hierarchy and all this authority and all this organization would not work because it will become another system. And he once again become not only enlightened, freedom from all kind of organization or all kind of system. For that purpose, he dissociated himself from the Theosophical Society. He dissolved the Order of Stars and he went away all alone and then gradually started speaking the real message.
Le 3 août 1929, à Omen aux Pays-Bas, en présence d'Annie Besant et de plus de 3000 membres, Krishnamurti dissout l'Ordre de l'Étoile et rend aux donateurs la fortune et les propriétés reçues pour sa mission.
Then he really became a world teacher and throughout his life, for more than 50 years, he have delivered the unique message which is the essence of all religion but different of all the religious systems and institutions, and that is very relevant and important for humanity in this modern age.
Lorsque Krishnamurti s'installa en Californie, il vécut avec ses vieux amis Rajagopal et Rosalind, loin de toute influence théosophique. Il s'ouvrit au monde, rencontrant de nouveaux et très intéressants personnages. Le romancier Aldous Huxley encouragea Krishnamurti à écrire. Ses écrits devinrent plus tard les commentaires sur la vie. « Le plus merveilleux être humain que j'ai jamais vu », disait de lui Bernard Shaw en 1934. En Inde, grâce à Pupul Jayakar, Indira Gandhi consultait régulièrement Krishnamurti. De 1975 à 1985, Krishnamurti s'efforça de construire un pont entre la religion et la science avec le physicien de renom David Bohm, qui était très intéressé par son enseignement et son affirmation. L'observateur est l'observé. Cette expression, qui se décline de façon similaire en tant que le penseur et la pensée, l'expérimentateur et l'expérimenté, le contrôleur et le contrôlé, l'analyste et l'analysé, sont l'essence de l'enseignement de Krishnamurti.
The mission of his life, the objective of Krishnamurti's life, was to convey the message of the wisdom to as many people as possible, and he always tried to reach out to the humanity as large as possible. But he himself was not an organizer. Even he do not know how to purchase a train ticket and how to get in a train, how to go from one place to place. He has to be dependent on his friends and helpers. Due to certain, I don't know what I should say, a natural force, wherever he lived, wherever he go, he used to have good people to organize for him. In the beginning, there were people from Theosophical Society. Then after he break away from the society, yet his relationship with Madame Annie Besant was remained as before, and Madame Annie Besant has established certain organization like Krishnamurti Foundation and purchased some houses in Chennai, and later on then they have established a school and houses in Rajghat, Rishi Valley, and wherever he goes he will find some established organization like a school or study center and foundations, offices, and these people organize public talks and dialogues and meetings for the benefit of the people. They know the mission of his life, and in order to fulfill his mission, the people around him always organize the gatherings and dialogues and meeting with people.
Ainsi, pendant plus de 50 ans, partout dans le monde, en Europe, aux États-Unis comme en Inde, Krishnamurti n'a cessé de détruire, à travers son enseignement et ses conférences, toutes les illusions créées par l'homme.
You don't need that. You complete what you are told.
in 1925, Mrs. Besant announced a world university, and they started looking for land near to where Krishnamurti was born in Madanpalli. And Krishnamurti came here and saw this great big banyan tree, which you must have seen, and he said, yes, this is a good place, it has good vibrations, it must have water because there's this large tree, and that's how he bought the land. He also thought the valley looked a bit like Ojai. He wrote to his brother saying, I made the journey in 2.5 hours, and I could have made it in less if I hadn't had a breakdown along the way. But the valley reminds me of Rishi Valley. It was the time when his brother was close to death. So it was a sort of poignant letter that announced the discovery of the land. They built a little cottage under the banyan tree, lived there. There was minimum facilities. There were leopards in the hills. There was wool jackals, and they started. Gradually, the buildings came up. They got Rabindranath Tagore's architect to build some dormitories. So it started with a shoestring budget. Mrs. Besant had the habit of saying, if it's right, it will happen, and give very little money to the people who helped Krishnamurti. So that's the beginning of the school. The school is a product of all the inhabitants of the place. And it is very, very important that there is no conflict. In fact, Krishnamurti was very much concerned with conflict. He said, conflict is what destroys a place. Conflict is what destroys the atmosphere of a place. And in his last visit, he said, he used this French word which I described, éclat. There's an éclat in this place, but it will disappear if there is too much conflict. You see, one of the things I was told, Krishnamurti said before he died, was please don't institutionalize the teaching. And that is part of this work, I think. Don't institutionalize. That means you have a job, you have a salary, you do your work well. If you do your work well, you get merit raises, etc., etc. What is important is interpersonal relationship. And that is something that you need a certain amount of self-reflection, certain amount of self-awareness, which is what Krishnamurti is about. Yes. Envy, anger, ambition are part of human nature. And he taught us, I feel, to look at those things in ourselves and to go beyond them. Not only just look, but to go beyond. And then the residue of that, I think, you may not agree, but I think is this resonance between the éclat and yourself. That's how I feel.
De 1968 à 1971, Krishnamurti s'adressait aux étudiants des universités américaines et indiennes pour leur poser cette question. Pourquoi êtes-vous éduqués?
Krishnji wished to educate the younger generation in a different way. And he always think that the present system of education is a kind of indoctrination, brainwashing, authoritative, and it will not make the students get freedom from the bondage.
some senses it is the approach that is unique. I feel that the content is shared. There's an overlap of content. So for instance, when you teach environmentalism, when you teach the values of conservation, when you teach the values of truth, when you have an aesthetic, to build an aesthetic environment, those are common all over the world, across the world. But what is unique is this idea Krishnamurti had of relationships being right, not conflicted by anger and ambition and pettiness. And so to teach that to children also. And the only way to teach that, I feel that silence is very important in that the construction of this culture of quietude and listening. If you remember, he was very keen on the ability to listen. And you can listen if you are quiet. And if you are quiet, then you can listen and communicate that listening, that silence, that space to others. And that is what is unique about his educational approach. But the intellectual content has values that we share with a lot of people.
Krishnamurti thinks that education is very important for evolving the human beings in the right direction. The prevailing education system in this world is not an education, it is a kind of indoctrination or brainwashing. It puts all kind of condition upon the mind of the students. And moreover, this is a kind of authoritarian, and this is not. And they never believe the potential of the intelligence of the students, each of the students individuals. So this will not help for deconditioning human mind. So therefore, he think a new way of educating the younger generation, and that is very important. So therefore, he talked to his well-wishers and who have interested in his teaching to establish schools with a very different kind of education system. And due to that, the foundation, the Krishnamurti Foundation, all the three foundations in England and in America and in India, they have established various schools in accordance with the Krishnamurti's way of educating. And they try to keep the students as free as possible, and there is no indoctrination, no authoritarian teaching. They only try to encourage them to question, to investigate, to see things for themselves. And there is not much rigid system. There is no rigid syllabi or curriculum, and the students are being given a lot of freedom and try to keep them more competitive and not ambitious. So all the schools in India, such as the school in Chennai, Rishi Valley school, that is the oldest school, then a school in Rajghat, Varanasi, and a school in Bangalore, the Valley school. All of these schools, they try to keep the academic excellence as par with the other schools, yet the persons are kept without any comparison and competition and without any envy with each other, and help them to cooperate with each other. Krishnamurti used to say, education is for awakening the intelligence of the person, and thereby he or she can flower in goodness. Once the individual intelligence is awaked, then there is no need to discipline the person. It will become disciplined by itself.
So all these help for producing good quality iron and also steel started in the world. Right at that moment only, Jamshedji Tata was able to import the technology and start an iron steel plant. Now, one question.
So it will flower in goodness alone. So therefore the schools are running, and this has benefited numerous people who are getting education from various Krishnamurti schools, and so thereby the children who are educated through Krishnamurti schools usually quite different from the children educated from other conventional schools. The Krishnamurti schools do admit those students who are otherwise would be admitted in other private public schools. They have to charge, but the Krishnamurti schools, comparing with other public schools, they are not very expensive. And then they also try to reach to the poor people by giving free education, almost about 5 to 10% of the total students population, charging fee from the rich people and also get free education to the poor people in a certain percentage. So this is the way they are running.
Well, we have our rural schools where people are educated, and then we have the schools going up to class 7 and 8, and we have our staff children, some of whom are very poor, who come to the school. So we have a differential fee. We charge higher fees to children of the middle class, lower fees, concessions to poorer families, and we charge double fees to people from America and England. And Indians are beginning to send their children here. So it's a kind of very closely worked out system of differential fees. So there's some kind of justice in our program. I think Rishi Valley was the first school. I may be wrong, but there's the Happy Valley School, which was snatched away from him very early. I think that may have been the first school. But in India, I think apart from that school, this is the earliest school. There were very few students, I'm not sure, maybe about maybe 15, 20 or 30. Principal at that time had studied with Mrs. Montessori and introduced all that novel methods, Dalton plan, counting vocabulary, contract with students so that they would learn so much per day. So it was a very innovative school that the man created. Then there was another era where they got an Englishman from Sri Lanka, and he became principal for a while, and he had a very different structure. He believed in freedom in a slightly Summerhill way. So students came to school. If they wanted to come to school, they didn't attend classes, they climbed trees, and there were teachers, very brilliant, eccentric. That was his idea of freedom. It was a new style. And then when that experiment ended, it was English. Then the medium became English. When that experiment ended, you had an Indian principal who was very, very conventional. But he established the dairy, he established the farm to a certain extent. So he built an infrastructure which we inherited. When I came here in 82, there were 350 children, and this infrastructure. So that was the state of the school when I came here in 82. But I was fortunate, there were a lot of other people who came at the same time, very well educated people who knew village life. And so we built up this whole rural education complex, teacher training, 15 schools in hamlets, schools that are intended to be nucleus for the revival of the commons, as I see it. We hope that these schools are a way of reviving the commons. That's one idea. And the other idea is that in India there is no correlation between the age of a child and its abilities in the countryside. So you may have a 12-year-old child who may never have been to school. So he is in first grade. And he can get through the first grade in no time. So we've had this multi-grade education, and which has proved very successful. It has been translated into many of the India's diverse languages, Marathi, Hindi, Telugu, Malayalam. In some senses, one's responsibility is to bring people together, however small the work they do, to give them the sense that this place is theirs. That I feel is the most important role that I can play in a place like
agree.
this. So to make everybody feel at home, that is important. And then of course to see what the place needs, what the context requires. And we started our health center rather late, not very, but 15 years ago. And that was the response to a very deep need, because the government in this part has failed. There are government doctors, but they don't attend to patients, and quacks were taken over. We did need that, and that has won the confidence of the villagers very much. The fact that there is a hospital nearby, there's an ambulance, and they're looked after. Because if what is also happening, because milk is being used for animals are being used for milk, the milk is sold and village children don't get the milk. As a result, there's a tremendous malnutrition in the villages. But we haven't done enough work to really have an impact on the native animal population. And agriculture also, we haven't done enough work. We have done a lot of work in reforestation. We reforested 150 acres of barren hillside. Our children did that with the help of labor. And we are a small scale organization. We don't want to get much bigger. We want to decentralize, train people and then make them autonomous. That's the model we have in mind. Not hold on to things. Have a small, efficient center. But more than anything else, convey the spirit of what Krishnaji called not being a community, but having your windows and doors open. He said that. I remember that very well. He said, don't be a community. There is something aggressive about communities. Have your doors open. Now, a project that we would like to do, and it's a very ambitious project, is to recharge the water in the valley, in the belief that the villagers and we are together in this. If water disappears, they disappear and we disappear too. So we have to work together. Our students will be involved in the implementing of this project. So as a result, it becomes an education that is very alive, and not just theoretically. As it is, our students learn a great deal when they go to the health center and work there, or go to the rural center and work there. So they have a very rich sense of what the problems are in the world they are going to inherit. So we are very keen that we turn out wealthy children, but who have a conscience, a sense of responsibility, what Krishnamurti called total responsibility. More than anything else is a kind of spirit, and if we can live by that spirit, we can begin to solve some problems of the world. I think so, because the movement has to be inside, but it also has to be outside, externally, taking responsibility for the ills of the world. If you recall, Krishnamurti always began his talks by talking about the difficulty the world was in. So it eventually pointed to kind of responsibility that goes with an inner quietness.
Le 4 janvier 1986, à Madras, l'extraordinaire carrière de conférences publiques de Krishnamurti se termine à Vajanta Vihar. Au cours de la dernière série, il a de la fièvre due à son cancer pancréatique. Lors du dernier entretien, il dit « C'est la fin ».
Because it is not personal, it is not based on devotion to a man, it will continue. If we take the message he left behind, which is don't be in conflict with yourself, don't be in conflict with others, and be responsible. And look at yourself. Learn to go beyond your own pettiness.
Krishnamurti talk only at the level of absolute. He never comes down to the relative. So therefore, he do not accept any graduation, anything becoming, anything, something progress or evolution. No time, no effort.
No effort.
Just a spontaneous transformation. If you are not enlightened, you are not enlightened. You are enlightened, you are enlightened. There's no any half enlightened or half unenlightened. So by this way, he is always maintains to the absolute level. And secondly, K was an extraordinary loving person. Not only his teaching, K as a person is very, very affectionate, who take cares to others, and very loving and very affectionate. Once you become close to him, you will never want to go away from him. It has a very special kind of attraction, and each person he takes a great personal care.
Le 17 février 1986, à Ohio, sur son lit de mort, il dit à Poupou Jayakar : « Cette nuit, je partirai pour une longue promenade dans la montagne. La brume se lève. »
Why do you do what you do, giving talks everywhere?
I really don't know. It isn't a habit. It isn't something which I've fallen into and I do it because I have nothing else to do. I've been doing this for 45 years and more. Not that I'm proud of it, I'm just repeating the fact. And I also have stopped talking to see if I depend on the audience and all that business. And I say, if I stop talking, it's all right. If I don't talk or talk, it's the same. And I do it probably, I don't know, out of affection.